Have you ever had that feeling deep down that you don't really know who you are? Well, in this explainer, we're going to dive right into that feeling, that incredibly personal but surprisingly common struggle of trying to rebuild your identity after years of carrying shame.
Wow, that's a really powerful thing to say, isn't it? But it's a feeling that resonates with so many people who've gone through complex trauma. It comes from a lifetime of, wearing masks, people-pleasing, and just playing whatever role you needed to play to get by.
And look, if that feeling hits home for you, the first thing you absolutely have to know is this: it is not your fault. This is a totally normal, totally understandable outcome of growing up in a really tough, often unsafe environment.
Okay, so let's get into how this happens. To figure out how to rebuild, we first have to understand how that sense of self gets lost. And it really all boils down to the difference between two modes: survival and exploration.
See, when a child is in a traumatic environment, they get locked into what you could call survival mode. Their brain's entire operating system is dedicated to one thing: safety. It's constantly scanning for threats and asking, how do I not get hurt? There's literally no bandwidth left for exploration mode, that playful, curious state where a kid is supposed to figure out who they are. And this is just so crucial to understand. Your identity isn't something you just find one day, like a set of lost keys. No, it's something you build, piece by piece. It's built by trying 100 different things: hobbies, sports, interests, and failing, and being goofy, all without the fear of being judged for it. And that right there, that's a luxury that survival mode just can't afford.
One of the most stubborn things that comes out of being stuck in survival mode is the creation of this really harsh inner critic. It's a voice that pretty much follows you everywhere, right into adulthood, judging every single thing you do.
This critic doesn't just pop out of nowhere. It's carefully constructed over years. It starts when you're a kid and you soak up all these negative messages from the adults around you. You're too much, not enough, too sensitive. Eventually, your brain builds this internal parent that just plays those same messages back on a loop, becoming the voice of your own shame.
And this critic, it is relentless. It usually has two main attacks. First, it compares you to this impossible, perfect version of yourself, and of course you always fall short. Then, it accuses you of being a fake, an imposter, and it feeds that terror that if anyone ever saw the real you, they'd run for the hills. It's just a nasty, vicious cycle.
Now, what's so wild is that most of us think we need this inner critic. We have this belief that being hard on ourselves is the only way we'll ever get better. But all the research shows it's the exact opposite. Sure, criticism might scare you into changing for a little while, but in the long run, it just leads to burnout and hopelessness. It's actually self-compassion, being kind to yourself, that sparks real, lasting growth.
So what happens when you have this voice in your head 24/7 telling you you're not good enough, that you have no value just for being you? Well, you start trying to earn it, and that can turn into a lifelong, exhausting mission.
This search for worth completely changes how you see yourself. You go from being a human being, someone whose value is just a given, it's inherent, to a human doer, someone who believes their entire worth comes from what they can do, what they accomplish, what they prove to everyone else.
And so, people start looking for their value everywhere outside of themselves. You might build your whole identity around being the most beautiful, or the smartest, or having the best career. And it can even look really positive on the surface, like being the most helpful person you know, constantly giving to others, not out of pure generosity, but because it's the only way you feel you have any worth at all.
And the problem with this, of course, is that it's built on a foundation of sand. It just creates this deep, gnawing insecurity. Think about it. If your entire value is based on being the smartest person in the room, what happens when someone smarter walks in? Suddenly, they're a threat. Life just becomes this endless, stressful game of comparing and competing to prove you're still worthy.
All right, so if being hard on yourself is actually a bad motivator, and trying to earn your worth from the outside world just makes you insecure, then what's the answer? How do you actually get back to finding yourself? What really, truly works? This is where we get to the good stuff, the path forward. The journey to rediscover who you are isn't about inventing some brand new person. It's about giving yourself the childhood you never got to have, the one full of curiosity and exploration, but, as an adult.
So the path forward really has four main steps. First, you have to create a safe environment, which means finding people you can be yourself around without judgment. Second, you have to let yourself explore like a little kid again. Try things just for fun, with no goal in mind. Third, and this is a big one, You have to push through that fear of failure and just accept that being a beginner is messy and awkward. And last, but definitely not least, you have to consciously choose self-compassion over and over again instead of that old familiar critic. And please remember, this is not a race. It can take years, just like it takes a child years to figure themselves out. Don't you dare beat yourself up if it doesn't happen overnight. Just give yourself permission and time. And as you try new things, take a class, volunteer somewhere, a clearer picture of the real you will slowly, surely start to emerge from the fog. And as you keep walking down this path, something really amazing starts to happen. You begin to feel this profound shift inside. Just like the quote says, something inside feels lighter. There's a light there now that wasn't there before. And that's the feeling of finally coming home to yourself. So I guess the question to leave you with is, what part of yourself are you ready to meet for the very first time?